What's up, fight fans? Oh shit. Is that better? Right there? Is that better? Y'all can hear me out there all right? Before we get this shit started right here? We got a lot to talk about today. Anybody let's just wait for a couple people to join the chat. Mm. All right, let's get this shit started. Man, listen, there's a lot of shit popping off for 2024 all over social media. Um, I was just on social media looking up some of the fighters, and I had to check out what a couple back and forths was going about. What was the other commotion? So Terrence Bud Crawford, right? He has a little bit of twitty fingers right now, and he's going back and forth, ironically, with Teofimo Lopez, right? Terrence Crawford's coming off his big win over Errol Spence Jr., and Teofimo Lopez is coming off his big win over Josh Taylor. So Teofimo Lopez has a fight scheduled with Jamie Ortiz this coming up. So he took to social media and he took a couple jabs at Terrence Crawford. And Terrence Crawford at first responded and he was like, no comment. And then he had a lot to say after that. You know, he reminded Tio who he is. You know, he posted a picture of him being the first man to ever be two division four in the four belt era undisputed champion of the world. You know, because if you don't know the backstory to this, ironically, you know, a lot of things can be said about Tio, right? And uh, Tio has said a lot of things in social media and everything, right? And one of the things that Tio has said in social media that he should be given the credit of being the first man to unify all four belts in two separate weight divisions. And his claim to fame is that he had all four belts when he beat Vasil High-Tech Lomachenko, which in fact he did not. He had three. But since the WBC strapped on that fake ass WC belt, it gave the impression that he had all four belts. And I get it, right? Okay. So Teofimo Lopez then goes on and fights Josh Taylor at 140 pounds, right? Josh Taylor just coming into that fight, just before that fight, he was stripped, right, of three of his belts. He had all four belts, and Josh Taylor was never beaten. So Teofimo Lopez fights Josh Taylor. He beats him, right? So technically, you know, he's saying he's the first man in boxing history to unify all four belts in two separate weight divisions, according to him. So that's why, you know, Bud Crawford took shots at him today and reminded him of who's the real person to do it. You know, Teofimo Lopez has said a lot of things, and you know, he said he was retiring. Then he went on social media and he texted that you know, oh, you got to know how to work the media. I was just saying that to build my next fight. He said a lot of things. Okay, I don't even want to repeat half the shit he says, right? But one thing that Bud Crawford did say in his tweets back to Teofimo Lopez today, Bud Crawford said, "You need to focus on the guy that's in front of you, your next match. I don't want you to perform poorly and then this reflect on you and me." I think Teofimo Lopez, and some people stated that Teofimo Lopez would have given Terrence Bud Crawford a better fight than Errol Spence Jr. Do you guys feel that way? Do you feel that um he would have gave him a better fight? Like, look, there's a part of me that it intrigued my imagination when I first heard it. I said to myself, he probably would have. He probably would have came in better in shape. I know he would have been able to work the jab more than Errol Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr. looked like he was reacting to everything Bud Crawford was doing. He was twitching, he was flinching like this. It looked like he didn't even have his timing down. He was surprised of how fast he was, or the lack of him reminding himself what boxing was because of such an extensive layoff, you know. Um, and do I think that Teofimo Lopez would have fared better against Terrence Crawford? Look, check this out, right? If you break it down in its perspective, right, like what happened in fights, right, and we don't go by what ifs, okay, we just go by what really happened, okay. Teofimo Lopez got rocked by George Camboza. He did. He got rocked by the man. Okay. Okay. Devin Haney wiped him down 2 times. And I think Terrence Crawford would wipe down Devin Haney. I don't think he would like straight wipe him down, but I think he would beat Devin Haney. Okay. So if I think that Teofimo Lopez can't beat Devin Haney, I don't think so. I think he's been avoiding him for quite some time. Even though Teofimo Lopez is a good fighter, I always believed that he would catch up to Devin Haney and they would fight in a mega fight. I thought that fight would needed some time to mature between both fighters. Okay. And I don't think Teofimo Lopez can beat Terrence Crawford. And I think he should stay in his lane. I think Terrence Crawford's right. Now, in other news, Terrence Crawford's name also came up to Jerron Boots Ennis. Now they keep going back and forth, right? Because Jerron Boots Ennis, I don't know who to believe in this anymore because I believe Ennis when he says it. Okay, look, I've been around a lot of men in my life, and I'm not saying I could judge every man, but I've been around bullshit artists, con artists. You know what I'm saying? I was born in North New Jersey. I was raised in Boston. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I've been around a lot of people in my travels, right? And I know bullshit when I hear it, you know. Um, and when Jerron Boots Ennis speaks on interviews, in his voice, you could see the sincerity. You could hear it. You could hear it. You could see it in his eyes. He looks like he's telling the truth. And then Terrence Crawford, on the other hand, on the other side, shows always supreme confidence. So I don't really know which guy is like, because it doesn't sound like either of them are lying. It just sounds like some of them are confused on some situations or what their managers or promotional companies told them. And I believe that's what's happening here. Since both men are not like in the office or in front of each other, they might be getting told one way and then they're going out and speaking that way. It's like with your promotional I'm a manager, right? He comes back to you to tell you, you say, what you say in the office, right? And your manager tells you, I went right in there and I looked at people right in the face and I said, listen here, you're going to meet our demands, okay? And we want X, Y, and Z in the match and we want this much money. That's exactly how I told him. And in real life, it went, please, Please. Okay, okay. Listen, we'll take that. You want to give us that? Okay, we'll take this. You know what I mean? On some shit like that, right? So, they probably went to Aerospace, I mean, to Jerron Boots and his management. They, talked up a good game. He probably really thought they sent over or said some shit like that. So it looks like he's speaking the truth when it comes into regards that both men want to fight each other, right? And Terrence Crawford is telling the young man, listen, I didn't fight you back then because I was headed in another direction. I was chasing legacy, greatness. I was chasing Errol Spence Jr. around, and I wasn't gonna let go of that fish to turn around and fight you, young man. Okay, I know what you're doing. I was once you to Jerron Boots Ennis. This is Terrence Crawford telling him that. He's like, I was once you, young man. You know what I mean? But I'm looking in another direction. But now, fast forward to present day. They stripped Terrence Crawford and gave him his belt. I know Terrence Crawford feels a certain type of way about that. Any man would. Because here's this guy walking around calling himself champion. You ain't the champion. You ain't the champion until you beat the champion. Can I get a round one? Can I get a R1 for that? You know what I mean? Come on, can I get some likes here? And look, it's the truth, right? Now, whether or not Terrence Crawford would really whip himself into shape and stay dedicated to his diet to try to make the weight. If he really wanted to, he can make this weight. But it's one thing to make the weight, and it's one thing to make the weight comfortably. Is he really depleting himself at this age, and is that really good for his body? You know, um, only Terrence Crawford knows what he really walks around with and what he's doing, can he really make it? Does he know? Is he giving up too much to turn around and fight this young lion? Because make no mistake, Jerron Boost Ennis ain't no just tomato can, you know what I mean? He is the real deal, and he has proven himself time and time again. He's outclassed his opponents, sometime making a lot of his opponents look amateurish. He made it look easy in a lot of incidents where that felt like some of the men he went up against. I really thought, the one guy that surprised me against Jerron Boots Ennis was that Russian. And they didn't really know too much about. He came in on a lace replacement. I'm not too familiar with the guy. I can't remember his name. Man, I should just go to Boxing Rec and get it, but I'm on a flow here, so let's keep the show going. So, you know who I'm talking about, right? And it goes to show you sometimes, right? When matchmakers are making the fight and they don't have a lot of time to look a guy up, they called around and one guy raised his hand, right? Now this guy's not even in the ranking system like that, right? So the guy probably thought to himself, yeah, sure, yeah, you want to fight Jerome Buzet? Sure, right? And boy, but also hats off to Jerron Boots Ennis for working on the fly. He didn't have a lot of information on the guy. He didn't have a game plan. He was preparing to fight someone else. You see? So it's a little bit more difficult for a puzzle to solve for him and taking some chances. He took chances early and the guy showed him, hold up, I'm not a bum. Boom, So he didn't know where to go in and out. Had he had a good game plan and time to prepare for him, fight would have been different. It would have been different. But working on the fly, another question asked on the young man, Jerron Boots Ennis. He can perform on the fly, which is very good. Okay. So, so Terrence Crawford right now is locked in on this Errol Spence Jr. Rematch and stuff like that. I'm sure a lot of you might be aware, and if you're not aware, Errol Spence Jr. posted some picture with an eye patch, and there's many things going around about what kind of surgery it could have been. A lot of them are veering towards it was like a cataract surgery and it wasn't, anything big. But hasn't been confirmed. Hasn't been confirmed from Errol Spence Jr. So that's really us guessing, I guess. One guy guessed something and pretty much everybody went with it, I guess. That's not a reliable source. We don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. So I'm like, okay, fine. But I haven't really looked into it. I haven't looked into it. You know why I haven't looked into that? I mean, I could have this morning. I could have looked into it, but I didn't. I didn't. You know why? Because this thing is going to work itself out regardless. And when we get to the point whether the rematch is on or off, then we'll talk about that. Now that's something to talk about. Whether or not he had this surgery on his eye, what it was for, concerned about that. Are you pulling out or not? Is the fight on or not? That's all I'm concerned about. At this point, I've been down this road with these two before. I know not to feed into every single storyline. Let's talk about what is and what isn't. Are you fighting or are you not? That's all I want to know. To tell you the truth, that's all I want to know. Let's get this fight out the way. You know, um, and then you got Tank Davis. Tank Davis. What can you say about Mr. Tank Davis, man? Listen, let me check the messages before we get into Mr. Tank Davis. What's up, Iceman? How you doing? It wasn't a horrible fight. It was just not the fight you expected, you and I expected. Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence Jr., Iceman. I wouldn't call the fight horrible. Um, it is not Terrence Crawford's fault that his dancing partner didn't show up to the expectations of the viewing audience. And am I in agreement with you, my man? Right? It's not Terrence Crawford's fault. Terrence Crawford trained to do a job and he went out there on that night and he showed up. His dancing partner didn't show up the way it was advertised. Errol Spence Jr. was all over social media, am I not right? That this is going to be better than Hagler and Hearns. Am I right or am I not right? And he's the one that didn't show up. So whose fault is that? And the fact that it wasn't horrible in the sense, if you were a true Terrence Crawford fight, I bet you would have thought that it was the greatest fight ever because you saw your guy whooping his ass. If you had love for Errol Spence Jr., then it was a horrible fight for you. Because, me sitting there at home and I didn't even have a horse in the race, they're both American fighters. Guess who was going to win that night? America, baby. So I know at the end, one of them dudes was going to be an American champion. So I was with it. I'm like, yeah, baby, right? But there was moments in the fight where I was at home. I was like, damn, damn. I was like, man, stop that shit. Stop it. Yo, yo, I'm getting in the ring, bro. Yo, Terrence Crawford, stop. Stop it. Like, yo, for real. I wanted to fight for him. I felt I felt bad, man, at some point in the fight. So in that sense, since the fight wasn't as competitive as I would have liked it to be, I can say that the fight sucked, because I expected a much going into the fight. My vision of the fight was much different than this one-sided event that we all witnessed. You see? What up, all right? My man, what up? You always here, baby. You felt bad for Spence? He should have been more prepared, man. And whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? That's his fault. That's his fault. And I just reported this on one of my videos. I'm not sure which one it was, but I just reported this and I said it. He was he typed saying, "I'm back." What, you back from vacation, bro? Is that what you typed? What was "I'm back" mean? Because when you typed "I'm back," you were also coming back from vacation. You should not be a man that's ever on vacation from that ass whooping. You should have not left the gym. Yo, I swear to God, I'm not gonna swear on God, but listen, I would have been in that gym training. Like right now, the cameras would have came. I would have the same clothes on that I got my butt whooped in. They would be all dirty, ripped, and my beard would be like this. My wife hasn't been next to me in months. I don't want nobody next to me. I'm training right now. vacation. Are you out of your mind? Unless we're vacating to a fighting island, then we ain't going nowhere. Okay? Listen, what you mean you on vacation, bro? You're fighting a highly talented, skilled athlete in Terrence Crawford. In order to be a professional athlete, that's why they have professionals, amateurs, okay? And that's why they pay these guys this much money. You know why? Because no guy getting off his bed is going to beat one of these guys like this. Francis Ngannou, what he did against Tyson Fury, let's not forget, he was a UFC heavyweight champion. He was an athlete. It's not like he just rolled off the couch. He was a fighting champion, a superior fighting champion, which they go 5 minute rounds for 5 rounds. So he wasn't no like no, it was impressive what he did, but it's not like you know what I mean. So the reason why we are pros, right? Those guys are pros, not we, them, right? The reason why they're pros is because they got superior training. And when you gotta always maintain it, the in the fight game, the one thing you can't identify in, which confuses a lot of fighters if they take time off, the one thing you can't see is distant management and eye to eye coordination. Physically, you might feel good. Physically, in 4 months, you might be up to par with your physical strength, but your breathing and your motion ability, there's something inside of you that connects with that. As a fighter, that has to stay really high. When you get lazy, that part of you gets lazy. It's something you really can't explain to fighters. You got to kind of experience it until you're like in there. Like me, I have experienced that. But I can yell it to a young kid as loud as I want. He's not going to really get it. It's really crucial. It is a mistake to take a year off of professional sports. As you can see, if we was to measure by a standard of how many men and women have left sport for a year and come back, there have been men and women that have competed and still stayed at a high standard. And there has been that you've seen a big drop in their performance with just 1 year off. Okay. And I have to remind you that not every athlete is the same. This person that performed well, they were probably training every day too. This one took probably a real year lay off. Okay, if they were being honest. The only way we could figure that out is the athletes actually be honest, and I can show you how I'm right in this. I know I'm 100% right in this. Okay, and that right there in itself, okay, Errol Spence Jr. felt good. He felt strong, I bet. He might have felt a little depleted from the weight cut, but he said, my body's been healing for a long time. In his mind, his body, he's been taking all this time off, extra massages. So, from the car accidents to try to heal. So, he healed his body that way, but he stopped doing what he needed to do and keep his body in peak form, competing form, professional level. Now, you might be able to know how to get to the professional level workout right away. And you might be able to get your athlete in shape right away. But not until he gets into the ring is that he's going to quickly understand, hold up, my timing's off. I can't get to. And then when he thinks about moving, he's getting caught. He's getting caught with shots he normally doesn't get caught with. And then he's kind of stumbling over his punches. His punches are more stifled. They're not on point. His distant management to the guy. And it kind of feels like the guy is moving faster. You your body's not, everything's not clicking. And that is a big mistake. So coming into the fight, there are special men and women that they perform well off ring rust. Yes, there is, but there are men and women that we see what happens. It depends what kind of in the athlete, I believe. A person could have took a year off because of an injury, but they're in there like a beast. They're like, let's suppose their arm's broken. They're over here going like this, jumping like this, doing squats, everything but with this hand. And then there's people that actually sit on their couch with their broken hand. That's the difference. You see, and that's why I believe those other people were able to perform well after a year layoff because they really didn't take no time off. They just healed. That's it. And then some other people really take time off. So Errol Spence Jr. was coming off vacation, and that's alarming. That's alarming. It's alarming because, okay, are you soul searching? Are you taking your family out? Falling back in love with your wife for the 15th time, saying the same things you said over and over. This time I'm going to, what are you doing? You know, um, I believe uh, that ass whooping should have done two things for him. It should have either made him honest with himself and decide what he wants to do in the sport of boxing, or it should have made him retire. Walk away, my man. You got one loss. You lost to one man at this point. That's what you're looking at. You're still gonna go down as one of the greatest 147 pounders. So, what do you want? What more do you want to add to your legacy? Another brutal loss? Are you gonna really? For the people at home that are gonna pay their hard-earned money, do we know a real good version of Errol Spence Jr. is gonna show up? Are we paying to see just a one-sided event again? And I gotta pay close attention to this. Another fight that I would like to see too, and another gentleman back in the ring would be Javante Tank Davis. Javante Tank Davis, remember he was rumored to fight Eastside Pitbull Cruz. Listen, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I told you that fight wasn't gonna happen, didn't I? Yeah, you can go back, Tank Davis, right on my channel. I got my video of it. Okay, and I told you it wasn't gonna happen, right? But it was because of multiple reasons. Okay, let's remember King Davis was arrested. He went through some legal issues and then he was sentenced to house arrest. Remember, it was like May 5th. He was sentenced to house arrest. Okay, he violates the house arrest. The judge locks him up for buying that expensive condo or whatever it was, right? In New York, y'all remember, right? Because it's starting to come back in my head right now, as I'm talking, like it's all starting to come back. So, yeah, he gets locked up for that. So, he gets out, and they started talking about opponents and this and that, and I told y'all it's just that we seen that fight already. We seen that fight before. What are you fighting for? Neither of you has belts at the times. You're gonna fight for Javante Davis's interim belt again or whatever. Like, you know, I mean, he did fare well against Javante Tank Davis, Eastside Big Bull Cruz, but I would just like to see Javante Davis start to fight legend fight, legacy fights, title fights. Not another just he's given us those too many of those kind of performances. Unfortunately for Eastside Pitbull Cruz, King Davis kind of shot his load with those kind of fights. He kind of put himself in a position. He's 30 years old. He needs legacy fights. And now that he is now the newly WBA super champion of the world, okay, his next fight's going to be a title defense. Okay. One fighter that's coming up in mind right now. Okay. Well, actually, two. Actually, two. Okay. The number one guy for him right now, and it would be a good fight, I think. Okay. Because this guy's maturing. Frank the Ghost Martin. Okay. He looks good physically. He looks like a specimen, man. Like you know what I'm saying? He looks good, and he also fights good. He fights strong. Okay. He hasn't really been, like Okay, well, he fought Rivera, and Rivera was a is a good boxer in his own right. And the way he beat Rivera, now, I personally know a couple background stories on Rivera, seeing that he's training in the boxing gym right down the street from me. Okay, so I've been in the gym and I've talked to a couple guys, and I heard a couple things about that fight. But the fight is over with, so I'm not going to make any excuses for him. He lost. He lost. Okay. So Frank Martin put up that kind of performance, but like I said, you know, uh, Rivera's not Tank Davis, so it's a good fight. I think it would be a good matchup for his first title defense put it up against Frank the Ghost Martin. I don't think you're gonna get Shakur Stevenson in the ring with you, not right now. I don't see it happening. Um, you know, there's something in boxing that there's shit talking, and a lot of guys, you'll see a lot of that, and but you'll know when the shit talking gets to a point where that let's find out who's lying, when contracts get sent over now that you're not playing anymore. You're either disputing the contract or signing the contract. Okay. Now, fighters can say a lot of things, but until contracts start getting sent over from the A side, that's when shit gets real. And it's whether or not you're signing the contract. Okay. There has been fighters that have been offered contracts. For instance, Devin Haney offered Shakur Stevenson two contracts, not one, but two. He denied both of them for a shot at all four of those belts. I've said this. I don't care. Yo, I don't care what that contract said, basically. The only thing I was concerned on that contract that it said was it says for four belts, right? This is for four. Where do I sign? Yo, fuck what we making, what we fighting. You can pick anything you want, as long as everything is even. We've got the same ounce gloves on and shit. You know, I really don't care about the size of the ring because I'm only gonna need this piece right here to whoop your ass. All right, because I am going to try to take your head off with the best focus, energy I have, and most calm aggression. That's how I'm coming at you. I'm expecting to leave with all four of those belts. That's what I would be on. I don't know how Record Stevenson and his promotional company, his management team decided that it would be a good idea to say no, not once but twice, to just a shot of being, having your name wrote amongst the legends. If you pull that off, and then he's gonna want to shoot the rematch, right? So you got another legendary fight. Um, nah, I just don't see myself saying no. It's easy to say no, but well, I just don't. I just don't. I just don't. I don't buy it. So see, that's when you start to sort shit out. You see, that's when Terrence Crawford's on social media right now calling up Bud Crawford. Don't pay no attention to that. Ain't no contracts being sent over, right? T. says a lot of shit. You know what I mean? Um, Look, Jose, Valenzuela, the guy that knocked out Chris Colbert. Do you guys think he deserves a shot? He's one of the guys that's names that's coming up right now too as well. Okay. Um Look, the problem is, all right, every fighter can have a bad night and a bad performance because Jose lost to Hector Luis Garcia. He lost to him. So, and then the way that Tank Davis dispersed of him, and then he just lost his belt, you know, um, it makes you question, the way he was beaten for his belt, the way he was beaten from Tank Davis, and then he goes and beats Chris Colbert and Jose Valenzuela. So I'm like, but Jose Valenzuela did look a lot better against Chris Colbert, and in this knockout right here, he looked good. He looked good. Now is he up on the level of like a Tank Davis? Should like you know what I mean? Like I don't know. And who has the bigger name for you? Does Frank Martin have a bigger name? Who would help you? I mean, Tank Davis kind of sells out the place himself, but if you're going to want a piece of the pie and you're going to want to be treated, and you see, this is also what I mean, okay? Because, right, Frank Martin was offered a contract to fight for the belt. He denied it because he said that the money wasn't right, right? Okay. Um, no, wait a minute. Was it for the belt? Or was it Shakur Stevenson he was supposed to fight? I think it was Shakur Stevenson, and he denied that one. And then they criticized him for denying the contract. And see, and that's what I talk about. That's when shit gets real. That's when you start knowing who's ducking who. Because when contracts get sent over and then you're checking your facts, like he should be signing in about now and fax. Is the fax machine plugged in? Why ain't they signing it in? What's going on? Fax machine, it must be broken. Go buy a new one. We bought a new one, plugged it in. Send me a fax. It works. Send them the fax back. Okay, they should be signing it any. I think it's broken again. Nah, it ain't broken. They shook. They ain't signing it. And that's when you can tell the real ones from the fake ones sometimes. Because sometimes the contract, like, it be crazy and shit, right? And a fighter wants to max himself out. He wants to price himself out. Like, I'm not sure if Gabriel Matias priced himself out or if he's starting to realize, bro, I'm worth the money. You know what I mean? Because the Puerto Rican superstar right now, he might just be worth that 4 million. Maybe not four. Okay, okay. I'm not gonna co-sign that. I'm not all right. 2.5, 2.5, 2.3, right? I understand that his last fight he only made $100,000. Subriel Matias. He in his last just in case you don't know that. His last fight he only made $100,000. So when Devin Haney sent him a contract, if you guys not aware of this, Devin Haney's father made him an offer. He made him an offer. That's what it was. And Subriel Matias sent an offer back. And he said he wanted 4 million to unify both titles against Devin Haney against Subriel Matias at 140. So Bill Haney was like, come on, man. Come on, man. You want $4 million? Right? Now let's just think about this in Devin Haney's point of view. Okay, let's think about this in Devin Haney's point of view, right? Check this out. Devin Haney only got $2.3 million to fight George Camboza for all four belts. He only got $2.3 million in that fight. So if he at that time and he had a belt, you see? So like Super got a belt too, right? But what I'm saying is he only got 2.3 for unifying all four belts. Now, and he made more money his last fight, almost triple or a little bit over double than the amount of the money he made way more money his last fight than, and he had to take a pay cut to fight George Camboza. It's not like he made 100,000 his last fight and then came into the George Camboza fight and they gave him 2.3 million. That's my point. He even made more money. But Subriel coming in would be coming into that fight. He only made $100,000 his last fight. He's no pay-per-view fighter. He's a regular TV fighter. Devin Haney's a pay-per-view fighter, and he has all four belts. You see? And then when he sent them the offer back and said, I want $4 million, Devin Haney's father must have been offended. He said, oh, he's pricing himself out so that we say no. And fighters, they ask for high money so that you would avoid them, right? And then they'll go out their next fight and fight for 1 million. He'll go out his next fight. He'll fight for maybe $1 million, right? Or maybe even less than what they were offering him. But yet, he ain't ducking them. You be the judge. You be the judge. What does it sound? If it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, what is it? I don't know what to say. I don't know if Subrier's management is being greedy and they might have fumbled the bag. Maybe they were reaching for the stars. Maybe he's not ducking them. Maybe he's trying to get the maximum of what he believes he's worth. I get it. I get that. But if I would have shot the 4 million at them, just to see if I could catch one, right? I would have threw the four at them. Bang! Threw the line out there. And they'd have been like, hell no, blah, 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 blah. And I would have been like, well, then talk to me. And they would have threw some, you know what I mean? I probably would have got myself to two. I'd have been in there. And I think Devin Haney, to try to unify um another belt, in his quest to be great, he would have gave him two something if the conversation would have kept going. You see, um, but from what I'm aware, the negotiations dropped. They fell at the wayside. Bill Haney felt he was pricing himself out. They felt like they had other options on the table. Teofimo Lopez is always saying he wants to fight Devin Haney. But right now, we can't get over Teofimo Lopez for that because he already has a fight scheduled. So it would be pointless to say, yo, why you ain't fighting Devin Haney? Bro, because I'm fighting this guy. The fight's already scheduled. So after this fight, we'll see where we go from there with Teofimo Lopez and his direction. Because he does have the WBO. So Devin Haney's going to be interested in that fight, and that's going to be a big fight. I've been waiting for that fight for quite some time because these two young men came up in multiple divisions together, and here they are once again in a new weight division, right? They never got to fight in the first weight division, right? So it's about time they collide. Okay. As far as Teofimo Lopez challenging Bud Crawford, man, Tio, I said this the other day. In a sport where some men got to trash talk on social media to sell their fight, in a sport that some men have to go to other people's boxing matches, be half drunk and pick a fight, right? And do things outside of the sport of boxing to get attention drawn to you. The Japanese superstar Naoya Inoue doesn't do any of that shit. He's a very quiet man. In fact, he doesn't speak the language, and I don't believe any of us heard him. No, I take that back. I did hear him talk a couple words in English. He was practicing some words, so I did. I've actually heard him speak, right? But it was like one word. He was like thank you, like oh, I remember it was something like that. It was like a one word thing he said, so it wasn't nothing big, right? But what I'm saying is he doesn't do any of that. He doesn't need any ploys, any gimmicks. He's not running his mouth. He's not drunk on somewhere, picking a fight with this guy. He's not doing any of those things. The only things that's selling his fights right now are the brutal beatings and knockouts that he's doing to world class opposition. He's wiping these dudes down. He's doing it in a way that most men would fantasize. You daydream in your head. Oh, I got one weight division. I'm the champion. I'm moving up to the next one. I'm the champion. I'm moving up to the next one. Freak being champion. Now I got all four belts. You know what? I'm gonna go up to another one and get another four belts. Oh, by the way, while I'm doing this in my head, daydreaming, I'm knocking all my competitors out. Of course, it's my daydream. Knock them out. Oh, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna catch this one in exchange. Like that. He's doing this. He's actually like doing this, and it's crazy to watch. Um, you know, he goes up in his last match right now against Marlon Tapales, And I had talked about this, about his class and sportsmanship, about wearing his opponent's colors. You know, uh, a lot of boxers did that because of the fact that, like, a Mexico viewing audience is a big fan base. And if you can, get a couple fans by representing their country as well, then a lot of fighters have been known to do that. The Japanese superstar also wants Filipino fans, and he wants to let them know that, in fact, what he represents are the boxing fans. The Japanese superstar represents the boxing fans, and if you like what you see and you enjoy great boxing, this is what he's doing. He's going in the ring, and he's really setting the bar on everything. On the level of what it is to be a champion, records, achievements. If you really focus, and these are the things that. And as for the Americans, Terrence Crawford is on the same path, the same road. Make no mistake. You can look up Terrence Crawford's. He's had a rocky childhood and a upbringing and everything, but I believe all of that molded him into the man that he is today. He truly, truly is a man dedicated to the sport. He doesn't allow himself to take unnecessary time off, and he's always training, improving his craft. You can't sharpen your sword unless steel sharpens steel. So you always want to train and spar with top tier opponents. Usually, it's the guys that are coming up, the next wave of kids, the young prospects like the Camille Moulton and Keyshawn Davises, Boo Boo Boosters. These kids are the kids that are training Shakur Stevenson, training with Terrence Crawford. And Terrence Crawford is trying to mold a little of himself and his worth ethics to some of the younger guys that are coming up. They just need to, like, take a piece out of Terrence Crawford's page and not go out as much, you know. Um, so yeah, look, I think that Tank Davis just might end up making his first title defense against Frank the Ghost Martin. Tell me what you guys think about that. I do know that the Japanese superstar right now is scheduled to make a ring return in 2024 against Luis Pantera Nares, right? Um, he has a big opportunity in front of him. And when we speak about opportunity, let's not overlook the opportunity that's being given to Pantera right here. He has an opportunity to really shock the world. Not many men thought that, you know, Magic Man was gonna knock out Roy Jones Jr. like that, bro. If you thought that I thought some shit like that was gonna happen, nah. I thought Roy Jones Jr. with those gray boxing gloves and those Jordan boxing shoes was gonna lay this dude out. And what I saw, I thought my TV was broken. Yo, what the hell's wrong with it? This is a bullshit, yo. So he has an opportunity in front of him to have fight and capture the moment. He can win all four belts. He has a boxer's chance, a puncher's chance, doesn't he? He is a professional boxer. He's only lost one fight. Okay. He ain't no bum. Luis Nares can hit hard. And sometimes it just takes one punch to alter the trajectory of the fight. What if he hits him and wobbles him? And then all of a sudden he starts pounding on him. And then he's trying to recover. And then he catches him with that one wild one. And you see his knees buckle and he goes down. How would your heart drop? Like, yo, it would go crazy. Right, yo, it would be. That's what kind of opportunity that man. I mean, I know he must fantasize about it. He must daydream about it in his head, and it could be real. You just gotta believe in yourself. Luis Nares has a chance to win this fight. If he's a fighter and he's a professional athlete, well, then damn it, he has a chance. And he can shock the world in many different ways. He will, oh my goodness. Listen, that would be the upset of the year, of course. He would get the award for the upset of the year, hands down, you know. And they would probably attach like the fight of the year to it, you know. He'd get 4 belts. He'd go down. That would solidify his ticket and punch his ticket into the Hall of Fame. Yes, it would. Yes, it would. Okay. He's so much he can win on that night. There is so much. And when you got that kind of motivation, you know, and I'm pretty sure his whole life as a this is the greatest achievement a champion could ever achieve in the sport. That's it. All 4 belts in your weight division. Shit, you done it. You're there. You're him. That's it. So make no mistake that this is a big opportunity for Luis Pantera Nares. And if he can find a way to pull this off, now, you know, look, not many people are giving him a shot, but in life, I've always noticed that you know, at some point in your life, you're going to have to gamble on yourself. Fuck what anybody else is saying about you or what they think. Bet on yourself, you know? And I believe that Luis Naris is betting on himself. And I would hope he's in that lab right now doing everything and then some to prepare himself for this moment. I'm not even joking when I say this. You know, I was gonna humorously say this. I would actually sleep in the gym. No, I would actually sleep in the gym. I'm not even playing. You give me an opportunity like that. You know, at this age in my life, I know how big this is. Maybe when I was younger, maybe I think I would have did the same thing. I would have did this. I would have known then too. Yeah. For as much as boxing is in my family and we know what this is. I would have ate shit, slept in the gym. No, listen. I'm gonna try to give myself the best opportunity. And if I lose and I go out on my shield and I get knocked out, at least I know I gave it everything I had. You know, I try to put he was just a better man. He caught me. Whatever the situation might be, where we go 12 rounds, I get knocked out in the first round, whatever it would be, right? But at least when I walk out that ring, win, lose, or draw, I know I gave it everything, like everything. For that kind of moment, hell yeah. Hell yeah. So, you know, I think that Luis Nares is a professional athlete. He's actually there. And if anybody understands this moment, I would believe it would be him. So you know, that opportunity is not given every day. And here we have some men claiming to be the best fighters in the world, and they're denying these kind of opportunities. Makes you go, you know, I'm just keeping it 100. You know, these I'm not bringing up or making up things that didn't already happen. No, these things happen. You know, so I think that realistically, we should see the Japanese superstar in the ring. I would say easy 2 times this year. Easy. I'm starting to think about that third fight if he would squeeze it in at the end of the year or how close he can actually get someone in the ring. Because, like I said, this is where things are going to get interesting. He beats Luis Nares, Luis Pantera, right? Who do you want to see him fight next? Who? Does he really have to fight MJ? Do you guys feel like he has to fight MJ for real? Tell me. MJ's going to come into the fight 12 fights, professional fights. Is it really that much a big of a deal? Do you want to see him go up to the 126, which would be entering his new fifth division? Are we rushing this a little too much as fans? Jesus Christ, he is human, right? Like, does he at some point does he have to stay somewhere and kind of play with the weight as he gradually piles on the muscle? So maybe in one division he's going to have to stay there if he's thinking about moving up. You see, uh technically he only had two fights in the new weight division. Only two fights. So if he's thinking about properly putting on the pounds and the muscle mass that it's gonna take, because okay, the difference between just gaining weight and being to be able to perform in your weight, right? Okay, let's say he can just eat for 3 months and gain some weight, right? You can do that, right? But if your body is not acclimated to that weight, your skills and everything are not your body's not going to respond the way you're going to want it to. But if you gradually put that weight on by diet, exercise, working, packing on the muscle too as well, and at the same time stretching out the muscle and keeping your speed and your twitch like muscle reflexes, training your body to perform at that weight. There's a difference. You see, what Jamel Charlo tried to do was just eat a couple meals and fight Saul Canelo Alvarez. That's why he looked the way he looked. You see, that was the wrong way to put on the weight. Had they gave him a year or so, 9 months, to put on the weight properly, work out, tone the weight, work out, tone the weight, work out, tone the weight, work out, fight, spar with that weight, move. You got to move with it. Learn how to be comfortable with it, and learn and until you feel like yourself in that weight. You did it the proper way. See, what Jamel Charlo did was, yeah, let's fight, and then he couldn't move. He's what the, oh shit. He was like, and he found out the hard way. You know, his experience kept him in the fight though, because that was a real crafty veteran move when he took the knee and he decided to take the 8 count. A less experienced fighter would have been up against the rope. His pride would have kept him on his feet, and he would have tried to exchange with Canelo. Canelo would have knocked him out. He had enough sense to know that his head was rocked that much not to try to grab him or exchange. He was still further away enough where that he could take the knee. And for a fighter to do that in the moment, because that's a rule that's implemented in there for the fighter to try to like gather his wits. I mean, it's a standing 8 count. You get 8 seconds. That's it. But it was enough that he implemented it, and it worked so good that it got him out of the round into the end of the fight. Canelo Alvarez was looking for a knockout. If he was more stubborn, he could have got knocked out by Canelo that night. But that was a smart move that he did in his part. He wasn't smart in his preparation. Nah, he wasn't smart in his preparation. He really He just I don't he took the fight for the money, bro. You know? That's all we're waiting for. Is for the Japanese superstar Naoya Inoue to enter the 130. I talked about this. The moment, the moment he steps 1 foot like this, I have arrived. In the 130, bro, you know how many heads are gonna turn around? Yo, from at least three weight divisions that way, heads are gonna turn around. People are legitimately like the guys that can cut weight phenomenally, and they know they can even cut more weight and shit if they got serious with their diet. Like Tank Davis, for instance. I believe Tank Davis is maxing himself out at 135 and 140. I believe he fights those fights because he doesn't want to lose the weight. But he's so fucking skilled, and so good that he can even fight blimped up like that, but I think he's kind of like maxed out. I think the best version of Tank Davis would be at 130. A lean, fit Tank Davis. Yo, he would be dangerous, but he would have to be focused and dedicated to do that. And I think he can. Look it. We're talking about Tank Davis fighting at 135 and 140. And the best version of him would be at 130. He's 5'5". Japanese superstars 5'5". Yeah, man. Japanese superstars at 122 pounds right now. That's 8 pounds away from 130. We're not talking a fucking all the Japanese superstar really got to do is eat 3 meals and not take one shit. He's got 8 pounds. But can he fight any? And then you got to also think about this. Here's the one thing. If my analogy, because it's my analogy, because I'm thinking this, if my analogy was that the Japanese superstar only had to gain 8 pounds, right, to get up to 130, here's the problem with that analogy, right? You might make the weight at 130, but that's not what you're fighting at fight night, is it? Because Tank Davis would gain even more weight the night before. He would gain another 14 pounds, another 15 pounds. So Tank Davis wouldn't be entering the ring at 130. He'd be entering the ring at 150, 145, 148, maybe even heavier. See, because you got to remind yourself that they're cutting weight to make 130. The Japanese superstar will be maxing out to make 130. That means the night before the fight, the Japanese superstar will gain about 2 pounds, 3 pounds. He fuck around and lose a pound like Floyd on one of his fights. Floyd made the weight of the fight. The night of the fight, he weighed less. Floyd used to really push himself to fight those big men. I want you to understand what Floyd Mayweather did. A lot of people might criticize him, but listen, most of those guys legitimately had 20 pounds on Floyd Mayweather. This man would have to put 2 bricks inside of his pocket and get on the scale to make the weight. You ever see him make weight? He had those big trunks on, and the trunks weigh like 5 pounds because he was never a true 154 pounder. He was never a true 147 pounder. Floyd Mayweather was a 130-pound guy. That's what he was. He started his career at 130 pounds. And when he entered the 154 pounds, Floyd Mayweather, bro, those Miguel Cotto's, then he had 22 pounds on him on fight night, I think it was. Man, I'll look that up right now. Don't mess with me. He had like, it was outrageous. Yo, all them dudes had 20 pounds on Floyd. The majority of all them dudes at 154, he couldn't fight at that weight. He was a small dude. You know what he wanted to do? He wanted to dare to be great and get another division under his belt. And he just needed a champion to fight him. And he was like, I'll fight you. And the little guy fighting the big, he's looking up, he's like, you know what I mean? Yo, them dudes were huge. Yo, when he fought what was his name? Somebody help me. The guy with the tall guy with the army fatigue pants. Remember? They were like red. He kept knocking him down. He was an undefeated champion. Well, his name starts with a C. Wow, what the hell's his name? I can't believe I'm stumped on this. I know all Floyd fights. I must be having a brain fart right now, right? That dude was mad tall, bigger than Floyd. Yo, like seriously, seriously, seriously. No, no kidding. All jokes aside, Floyd was a real small dude, and when he started going up there, man, he was doing some Pernell Whitaker shit, some Manny Pacquiao shit. When Manny Pacquiao was that little Filipino dude fighting all those big dudes, Manny Pacquiao did the same shit. Manny Pacquiao wasn't no true 154 pounder. Manny Pacquiao wasn't as big as these dudes. Yo, when Manny Pacquiao was like really thinned out, he was fighting some pretty big guys. That kid was starving himself out there in the Filipinos. Um, there's only a certain men that can do that. Pernell Whitaker was one of them. He fought a lot of big dudes. Pernell, he had to. There was nobody else that can beat him in his weight division. They were so dominant. If Floyd stood at like 130, 135, even pushing 140, he would have unified all four belts in all those weight divisions. I don't think he would have unified at 154. I don't think he would have unified at 147, right? But I do believe and I do know that I stand on Floyd Mayweather unifying at 130 and 135. Absolutely. He there was no one there for him at that time. He was too dominant of a champion at that time. That's when Floyd he was breaking his hands a lot, but he was getting vicious knockouts. Like remember who he was in the beginning. Like he was oh Floyd, he was nasty, bro. He was just brutalizing people. Then when he started breaking his hands over and over, he took that 2 year layoff, went to Japan, had that surgery on his hand, starting fighting with like winning boxing gloves to pad it. They really started wrapping his hands, and he became a more evasive fighter. And win by points rather than breaking his hands every night. He spent hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars on trying to heal both his hands. That was his only weakness. That he had brittle hands. Floyd Mayweather had brittle hands. And if you really come to think about it, right, Floyd Mayweather was criticized highly on the tail end of his career. That's what he's mostly criticized for, the tail end of his career, right? And if you really sit back and you think about this, that's when he was handicapped. That's when he had to adapt his fighting style. He wasn't fighting the way he wanted to fight. If God gave him two hands of stone, we would have saw the best version of Floyd Mayweather. But once again, something happens to one of my legends always, and God got jokes. He gave him brittle hands. So he couldn't fight the rest of his career. For God's sake, he broke his hands, both hands, over 30 times. Each hand. Like it was probably ridiculous. Okay? Like I think the left one's lower. It's like 16 or something. I don't want to get carried away. But he did an outrageous amount of times. And after the surgeries, he developed a more elusive way. They were like, bro, if you got all the skills, you are elusive, you are fast, you can't do this. And if you don't want nobody to hit you, they can't. So why don't you fight like that? Bing. You know what I'm saying? But had he been blessed with two hands of stones, we would have seen the dominant Floyd that in the beginning of his career when he was just, yo, he was go out. He was ruthless, man. He was ruthless, but who I don't want to break my hands ever after every fight. That must not be feel cool. You on vacation like this with two broken hands all the time? I probably would have switched up my style too. I would have listened to my coach. You are right. I could evade people. You are right. Like, you know what I mean? But yeah. Look, uh I think that there are a lot of big fights right now. 2024 is already kicking off with a bang. We're gonna have Teofimo Lopez back in there with Jamie Ortiz battling it out. Hopefully, we get the Errol Spence Jr. in there as quick as possible. Francis Ngannou, Anthony Joshua have already signed for theirs. I believe we're gonna be getting Tank Davis in the beginning of the year. From what it looks like right now, it just might be Frank the Ghost Martin that will be his next opponent. And I believe Frank the Ghost Martin is game. I think he's a worthy opponent. I wouldn't say that he's the best opponent in the weight class. Okay. There's a few more options. As long as Shakur Stevenson is there, he's already for me gonna be the biggest option for him at 135. As long as he's in 135, I don't think his stock dropped to the point. I believe a lot of fans were mad, but give it a little time. His name is still big, you know. Ryan Garcia. is another big name that wants to come in, okay? And Ryan and Tio went at it a little too on social media. You know, you know, you could say a lot about Tio, and Ryan tries to say a lot about him. But what the Ryan kid needs to understand is at least Tio did some shit in boxing. Tio has accomplished some stuff. He might not always say the best things come out of his mouth, but if we're judging him on his boxing record, he's a legitimate two-division world champion, and he had 3 belts in one. So, Ryan, you've never even fought for a world title. Don't, you these guys back and forth shit talking, but when it comes to the conversation about that, watch what you're saying because if Teal wants to get nasty, he can take shots at you. You know what I mean? He, you've never been a champion kid. So you don't want to run into those kind of conversations. I believe that Ryan is, like I've always said, he has potential. He's a good boxer, man. He's well, I take that back. He's not a good boxer. He has good skill. He needs to become that better boxer. Put the skill that he has an amazing check hook. He has lightning speed. Okay. His footwork is not like A+ footwork. No, it's not. Okay. Um, I would say it's like a B, like a B. His footwork. Um, his evading skills and the fact the way he stands, the way his defense is, that all comes into question. That's where he's gonna have to develop more and a better punch selection. With all that speed, he should be throwing better punches. He only has a few punches in his arsenal for being this much of a professional this far in his career. He needs to develop more. As a fighter, I think that he's one of the fighters that didn't develop as fast as I would have liked him to. From the point I've been watching him, he hasn't come leaps and bounds. Where that you see Devin Haney from that same particular time and era to the man that in boxer that Devin Haney is today. And there's a prime example right there. You see? Because Devin Haney's a way better boxer now than he was coming in. And he can always fight, but he's like right there, you know. Because I always say this. I don't believe that Devin Haney's a finished product yet. That's why another point I didn't put him higher on the pound for pound list in my ranking because I don't think he's a finished product. I believe he's going to have one of those kind of careers where like a Kobe Bryant where he wore like 8 and then the number 24 on the other end and he had kind of like 2 Hall of Fame careers with both numbers. You know what I mean? So, um, Devin Haney is now entering 25 years of age. He's not in the prime of his career yet. He has a few years just to get to there. And then once he gets in his prime and then continues from there. So he's going to have another career and he's already accomplished this much. Let's see where he ends up. I think if any fighter right now, um, I'm not I'm not too sure the Japanese superstar can catch the great Mayweather when it comes to the amount of victories and whatever it will end up being for the Japanese superstar. But I don't think he's gonna catch him with the 50-0. He has 26 fights now. If you fight 3 times a year for 6 years, do the math, guys. He's not gonna catch him. He's not going to catch. And then he would have to fight continuously 3 times every year. And there's going to be a year where he only fights twice or once for whatever reason. Whether he can get the guys in the ring, because um, his fights are harder to make at this point. He's only fighting champions. He's got to get the champions to agree to fight him. See? Um, Once he gets a belt and he jumps into a new division, once he captures a belt, then he can fight title defenses. Yeah, that's cool. But he has to obtain at least one. And then from there on, it would be title defenses, right? Okay. So he's not catching him. He's not catching Floyd Mayweather. But the fighter I believe that will catch him is Devin Haney. If he keeps on this course, the way he's going, 31 fights right now, 25 years old, 19 fights. Yeah, yeah, he'll catch him. Easy. He might be able to do some Saul Canelo Alvarez shit where that he even gets up to the 60 mark. Because Saul Canelo Alvarez has 60 fights, but he has those few losses in between. You see? So, he's not going to ever beat Floyd because he's been beaten, okay, when it comes to that record. But as for other records, the Japanese superstar is already on his coattails for 5 weight divisions. As soon as he steps into the 126, and if he's successful and wins a world title, guess what? They're tied. And then not only are they tied in weight divisions, so if you're tied with me in something, how do you determine who wins? Who did it faster, right? If Floyd Mayweather ended his career 5 weight divisions, 50-0, I can pretty much guarantee you he didn't get to that fifth weight division till the tail end of his career. Can we all agree to that? Okay. How many fights you think he would have had by the tail end of his career? I'm not even going to pull up his record right here. I'm just because there's no need to. This is going to be really simple, right? The Japanese superstar would have done 5 divisions in 27 fights, 28 fights. He got him beat because okay, let's say this is his 26th. The 27th fight will be against Luis Pantera Nares. That'll be the 27th. Let's say he jumps in the 126 at the 28th fight and he's successful. That'll be 28 fights, 5 weight divisions. He beat him. So, you know, I understand that each champion has individual records. You might beat one of his records, but you didn't beat all his records. You didn't that just because you beat or catch him in one record, that doesn't automatically qualify you to say, "Oh, I'm better than you." No, it doesn't work that way. That man still has multiple records that still I don't think are gonna be caught or broken. It's gonna there's just a lot of records. I don't see the Japanese superstar catching them in. Like the amount of world champions. Is he gonna get 13 more world champions to fucking 10 more. 10 more, he needs 10 more world champions to fight him from here on in before he retires. He needs to fight. They need to be world champions. He can't be making title defenses because those don't count. The man that he beats has to had or have a world title in order to count. Okay? So the Japanese superstar so far has beaten 13 of them. Floyd Mayweather beat 23 world champions. Yeah, I don't think he's going to break that record neither. No. There's a lot of records these Mayweather got that just, yeah, the Japanese superstar is going to break some of his records. I'm not sure he's going to break all of his records, but I know that he's going to reinvent some new records. And his new records can be put up against his records because I'll put 2 divisions, all 4 belts up against 23 world champions. Yeah, I'll put that accolade against that. What do you got next? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, well, shit, fucking right, I'll put that up against that. Yeah. And then depending on what he does from here on in, you know what I mean? Um, because, okay, for instance, I've been talking about this a lot lately, actually. Um, you know, if if Manny Pacquiao would have retired better, his boxing record as a fighter would have been better. But because of Manny Pacquiao's inability to retire well, he took a lot of unnecessary knockouts, including that big knockout that he got knocked out with that dude that he fought him like 900 times. That was like the 900 rematch that him and Marquez went at it like that, right? And I'm going to tell you right now, that was just, they fought that fight too many times. And he was bound to get caught. I mean, he knew you that well. You would take, man, come on, man. And there was a lot of fights that Manny Pacquiao, because for what Manny Pacquiao has accomplished, he should be revered as a way better legend, you know. And in most people's eyes, damn it, fuck it, he's the best. All right, I feel you. But with like 8 big losses like that and then getting knocked out like that, you know, that hurts his career. And that's what I talk about. Fighters not retiring well and fucking up their record. Everything, all the hard work it took them when they were coming up in their prime, even their biggest moments in their fights, by doing stupid shit like that, fighting in your 40s, 43, 44, 45, getting knocked out like that. Like, those fights unfortunately count. You might want to say in the argument, well, no, let's not talk about them fights. Let's talk about what he. No, no, because if we're judging our fighter, we're judging his entire 50-0, and you don't want to talk about this guy's knockouts in order to lower the bar to put him in the conversation with men like this. That's what you got to do, because they're gonna shut you down with how many times he lost and how many times he got those losses was knockouts. But yeah, and he beat him. Fuck. It's a hard argument. It's a hard sell. When I know that Manny Pacquiao was a way better legend than that, and he should be right next to him technically for the shit that man did. Okay, I'm just being honest, right? But the truth is the truth. It's a hard argument when the guy beat him, and all you're saying if and buts behind all your sentence. If and but, and that's what you're doing to lower the bar to get them in the conversation. No, just accept what it is. And these men set these bars for a reason. They achieved this hard work and dedication and put these kind of records up, not for you to just come in and lower them down because it helps your fighter get in the conversation. What would the bar be set for? Why is he in there killing himself, setting these kind of records if it ain't gonna mean anything? No, you have to honor that. You gotta accept things for what they are. He beat him. He got too many losses. He's been knocked out way too many times, man. And it sucks because there's a lot of my favorite legends that on the tail end of their career, and I talk about this. I do never will like the way Roy Jones Jr. ended his career. Bro, that fucking shit bothers me because Roy Jones Jr. is a hell of a fighter. And he was the great man. Listen, if you've never had the privilege to watch Roy Jones Jr., I mean, his highlights are good, but they really don't tell the story. And if you ever want to just run a marathon of fights, I recommend watching his fights. I truly, truly, truly do. Just watch. He was doing things that was just like, I remember the time he put his hands behind his back and he shook the dude like this and just came off and dropped him. That was some high level slick skill shit right there. That man standing in front of him was a good boxer, bro. I'm not gonna say he was like the greatest boxer in the world. He was a professional athlete, man. Okay, that dude wasn't no slouch. You did some shit in a professional match. You would try in sparring. You're doing shit you would do in sparring in a real world title fight, and you're that comfortable. he was really doing some real like, and I don't like what kind of champion they got where they have him placed because of his losses, because of him not retiring so well. Yeah. And that hurts the fighter. So I will talk about this. Yes, the Japanese superstar is doing amazing things right now. There is a tail into your career, and we will never get an answer to that question until we're there. Let's see how he retires. Well, ladies and gentlemen, listen, I've hoped you've liked what I've had to. Damn, y'all are typing. I'm over here just going off, huh? Come on, show the love. Can I get some likes up in here? Can we get the clicking? Huh? Was this a good show or not? Can I get some love? Can I get an R1? Is it a good show, man? Come on, man. Let's answer some questions. What up, Danny? What up, All Right? What up, Iceman? Tank, yeah, he would be definitely a monster at 130, bro. He'd be crazy. Hey, Bud, how many world titles does Naoya have? Naoya Inoue won? Okay, okay. Let me answer this question real quick. All right. Depending, there's two ways to view it in the world of boxing, the sports of boxing. For instance, Mayweather only has 5 belts. Have you ever heard that? And you're like, huh? Right? Yeah, he only has 5 belts. He has 5 weight divisions. Doesn't matter how many belts you obtain in that weight division, that's only 1 belt in that weight division. Do you understand? You could defend or get multiple belts in that weight division, but no matter what, that weight division is only going to be counted once. You see? If you want to count how many belts he won throughout his career, 26, 26, 27, he won throughout his career. He collectively won 26, 27 world titles, right? But he only has 5 belts because he has 5 weight divisions. So if you were looking at it like that, the Japanese superstar only has 4 belts. The most basic, simplest way I can explain it to you rather than counting all his like titles. But he secured 1 belt at 108. He secured 2 belts at 115. Did he secure 2 belts or just one? He secured 2 belts at 115. He moved up to 118. He unified all four, and he unified all four at 122. So he has 4, 8, 9, 10, 11 belts, 11 world titles, I think. And if I'm not missing any, did I count every division? He didn't unify in his third because they would have been his third, right? So, and he only got 1 belt on the 108. He had the WBC and he didn't defend it. He vacated that belt. He went up and got the WBA and defended that 7 times, and then I think he might have obtained the IBF. I would have to check that out, right? You know what? I'm not gonna guess shit. There is no guessing here at Round One Sports Talk. There's do your homework and that's it. We ain't guessing nothing around here. We're gonna pull up the records. I will get you an accurate number right now. We are working on that. Ain't no guessing. All right, here we go. We're gonna count them all the way from the beginning, all the way down the list. Okay, starting from the Japanese boxing champion, lightweight champion title does not count. Oriental Pacific Boxing Federation champ does not count. Here we go. WBC light flyweight championship. He won it at 108. That's one. Uh ooh. I have been completely corrected right now on something I've been saying that I don't know how I got this confused. Must be with another boxer, but somehow I'm confusing his record with some other fighters because he has at 108 he won the title. He defended the title for 107. He fought he defended the title at 107 one time. Yes, he did. Against he fought in Japan. Right? I can't even pronounce this guy's name. Bas His last name is Basampin. So he did fight one time and defend it. Then he goes up to 114. He fights the WBO. Whether he defended it or not, that's still only one belt. So that's one belt. That's two. The WBO at 114 is two. Two. He defends that 7 times. Two. Two. He's still at 115. Has no. He has not. 115 still. One belt. One belt. He moved up to 117. So he only had one, two. That's two belts so far. And he's at 118. He fought Jamie McDonald. He won the WBA. That's belt number three. And I can do the math from here. That's Jamie McDonald was number three. Four, five, six, seven, 10 belts. Legitimately, he only won 10 world titles through all the world titles he's ever won. So the Japanese superstar has 10 world titles. Um, Floyd Mayweather has. I'm gonna have to look it up. I can't guess, bro. They don't even got them listed like that no more. You gotta spell it all out. Oh shit. My bad. All right. What the hell is this? Cleveland. No. Who the hell is this? Floyd Mayweather. Wow, really? They don't got his hold on. Why is it doing that? Yeah, there it is. There he is. There he is. Okay, we got him. He's this list is freaking long. Okay. Floyd's a freaking great champion too, man. He didn't do none of that interim shit neither. He's a freaking awesome champion. So he got one at 130. One WBC, 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 WBC. 135. He makes a break, no title defense. He wins the wow. Then he went back down to 130, defended the title against Diego Corrales. Is the guy's name I was looking for. While I was here, might as well look it up, right? That's who I was looking for. Um, okay, same belt. That's only one belt, bro. Same belt. Okay. WBC 134. That's two. That's two. That's two, bro. 34. Okay, here we go. That's three 140. Three. Ooh. Three. And then he fought for the IBF and the WBO vacant. And he refused both belts, but he won them against Zab Judah. So the IBO is not recognized as a world title, so we can only count the IBF. So that's what did we have? We have one, two, three. That's three belts, three. Then he went up and he won at 147 the WBC. That's four, four. Yeah, four, four. He stood with the WBC. That's the same belt. Oh, 154. He won another WBC. That's five. That's five. Um, wait a minute. Wait a minute. What was I doing? I'm fucking up. My bag, man, people. Damn, I'm messing up. I was counting them by divisions, not all his belts. He's got, you got to count all those belts, right? Or did I count it by division for the, no, I counted for each belt only one time. That's what I did. Until he obtained it, he carried it one belt. That was one. And then he had one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10, right? That's what it was? Yeah, I counted every belt separately, not every match. So I'm doing it right. I'm doing it right. Yeah, that's five. At that point, where was I? Yeah, yeah. You can't do it the other way. He's just defending the same belt. You can't give him credit for the same belt four or five times. It's still the WBC. You're not making it change to the WBO, the IBF. That's when you count different belts. So he only has one, two, three, four, uh, five. Yep, coming up into this point right here, he has. Okay, so we're at five, and that's the WBC and the WBA off Miguel Cotto at 154. Floyd Mayweather came into the fight 151. That was a lie. He made 150 white to make the weight. The night of the fight, he even lost weight. And Miguel Cotto gained 20 pounds, like 16, 15 pounds. Okay, so that's one, that's five. 152, five, six, seven. All those belts at 147. Oh, shit. He won the WBA, the WBC, and the WBO at 147. Oh, he had all three belts at that time. You got to count that. We're at nine. Fuck. Oh, the Japanese superstar might have him at nine. So far, I only got nine. I'm at the end of his career. All right, the Japanese superstar has 10. He has nine. Like if you were to count them in the amount of belts. Okay, so every division only has four belts. So the amount of belts that you can win in one division is four. You can't go over that. You could defend them 12 times, but it's just the same belt. So the amount of belts in a division is four. Now, as far as you having one belt, the WBC, and you made seven title defenses in one division, that counts, right? Because you win a belt every time you make that title defense. So in that aspect, Mayweather has like if shit. If we was to count every single belt he has one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. Phew. He has 34 world titles. Yeah, man, he has some big numbers, bro. He has some big fucking numbers, man. Yeah. So it's going to be tough to beat him. It's going to be tough to beat him in some regards, but the Japanese superstar can also put up his own records. He also achieved some things that Floyd never did, you know, and he unified in two separate weight divisions. Floyd never got to unified. And I think that's largely in part by the era in boxing he was in. Had Floyd been in this era of boxing where it was even more publicity, social media, mind you, Floyd did all of that with very little, you know, YouTube videos and fucking, Floyd was fighting on HBO and shit. That's how far back Floyd fights. You know what I mean? So if he did that then, like that, what would he be like now? It'd be crazy, man, right? So, and he's still boxing and shit. I'm acting like it was so far long ago, right? He's like actively fucking still running these fucking circus fucking boxing matches. But kudos to him. Kudos to him for establishing yourself as such a dominating fighter that you can throw exhibition matches and make more money in that exhibition than most fighters have made in their entire career. He'll make more money in that one night that 80% of the boxing world would make in their entire career. Kudos for you for pulling that off, for becoming that kind of man. I couldn't hate on that kind of man. He made that for himself. He's the reason why he can do that. All his hard work, 20-year career, 34 championships, 5 weight divisions. And they're paying you in Japan to go see your fights. You making shitload of money. I heard it was like 9 million his last fight or some shit. And that's an exhibition, bro. 2 minute rounds. That's fucking insane, bro. There are hundreds and thousands of boxers that'll never see $9 million in their entire career. Yeah, man. Not even close to that money. This dude's doing it on exhibition. Hats off to you, brother. You deserved it. That's what you did. That's what you made your life. Can't hate him for that. All of us, you know if we ever got in position to be a man like that in the sport that we love, whatever that sport may be, whether it's boxing, hockey, basketball, whatever it is, and you became that kind of legend where that after your career you're signing contracts like Tom Brady where they're giving him $137 million. He'll make more money on that signing contract to be a reporting analyst than he did sign with the Patriots entire career, like, and hats off to you for putting yourself in position of being that kind of man. You can't hate on that kind of man for doing that with his life. And that's excellence right there. So hats off to him. So look, 2024 is going to shaping up to be a big year. There's going to be more fight announcements being made, and I should have another announcement for you later on, perhaps, hopefully by the end of today or um sometime in tomorrow. I will have an announcement on you on the Japanese superstar himself. Okay. A little bit of update. I'm digging up something right now. I'm waiting for something to come back. That's official, and then I'll be able to give it to you. Okay. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me check the messages real quick. Pac-Man never became undisputed. No, he didn't. Neither did Floyd. You know that's they came up in some corrupt eras, though. Men like Manny Pacquiao could have became undisputed with their skills. It was just all the promotional and fighters. It was literally the Wild Wild West back then. you know, and guys were able to duck guys real easy. And you had to sit on a shelf to try to wait. And guys were wanting to be great. Floyd didn't want to slow down for nobody. And that's what stopped him kind of from unifying. Like he was like, yo, you want to fight? No, I'm out of here. I don't need you. I- I'm my own star. I'll go up and wait and make. And he was right. And he was right. You know, and Floyd kind of did it without unifying and all these belts and titles and stuff. And he kind of preaches that to Tank Davis and his fighters. But what Floyd's not telling you is that maybe he didn't unify, but he fought the most champions out of any champion in boxing history. There is no world champion that fought more champions than Floyd Mayweather. None. Ali didn't do that. No one did that. In fact, because I'm going to tell you right now, he's there by himself. He has that record. So, you know what I mean? If you're fighting that many world champions, that means you were fighting the best. Come on, let's be honest, guys. And if you were fighting that many world champions and you never got to unify, that should tell you a lot right there. They were running from him. They didn't want to fight him back then. A lot of men, they wouldn't speak Floyd's name. At the tail end of his career, when he cherry picked some of his fights, he was much older. He was in 154. He was in places he should have never been. Had it not been for us, the fans, keep wanting more blood. Floyd, we want more. And there's even a bigger fighter up there. No, fight him. We did that to Floyd. And by pushing him, it caused him to even be a better champion. And that's why we need each other. He gives us the big fights and we motivate him. Boxing, baby. You see? And a real champion answers the bell. Real champion. Real champion. Both those men. Real champion. Real champion. You know what I mean? You see? Men that answer the call. So there was a lot of things and a lot of factors in Floyd's time, but mark my words, and I will always stand on this. It wasn't because of his lack of skills. Had it been up for Floyd, he probably would have unified in three divisions. He was that dominant. He's he's definitely on the Naoya Inoue's level of skill, and then Naoya Inoue needs to get where he is in the conversation. He's 100% there. He was truly a master at his Mayweather shoulder roll. No one did it like Floyd. No, and no one has ever since. No one before him, and no one ever since. And everybody's out to try to duplicate it, replicate it, but never duplicate it. No one can do it like him. So they have they're both unique styles. Floyd has that style, which is very effective, and the Japanese superstar has his style, which is very effective. And you can only judge them by who they fought in their competition. No fantasy shit. I don't want to hear good. How would Floyd fare against the Flash? No, no. It's only what Floyd did with his competition, only what the Japanese does with his. Nothing else. Everything else, you're starting to embark on stupid talk. It's just now what if my aunt had a dick? She'd be my uncle. You know what I'm saying? So, that's just crazy talk, bro. Anyway. But yeah. What are EK trading? Tran, EK Tran. Yo, Pac-Man never became undisputed. Um, Imagine if Floyd Jr. was G Triple G for. Yeah, I know. I heard about that too. $77 million to fight. I heard it was 60 million, not 70. But anyway, that's a lot of fucking money. That's a lot of zeros right there, right? You know what I mean? All right. Did he? Yeah, yeah. Wait a minute. He won it at 118. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I know that. I know that. For a second there, I was like, he's giving me new news. I was like, wait a minute, I already knew that. All right, yeah, yeah. Really? You never had a chance to watch one of his fights? No? Um, bro, they're the mirror image. They are the mirror image. He just doesn't have power. Yeah. When you see him, you're gonna see flares of Naoya in a way when you watch his fight. I'm telling you, they're spot on. He does everything right. He does everything right. The only thing he didn't have was enough to back the guy off of him when he lost that fight. That was it. That was it. He didn't have enough to push him back and to keep him off of him. But as far as technique and style, bro, he looks just like his brother. They're fluent in the same way. It's hard to tell them apart sometime in training. When if you were to watch training video and you was to watch Naoya Inoue and his kid brother side by side, say like you were looking at him from face, you were watching him from the back, and you were like recording, you didn't know which one was which, you wouldn't be able to tell, I don't think, which one was which. You would have to go like, oh, he's a little thicker, or and start trying to figure out. But by them movements, their movements, you probably wouldn't be able to tell which one was which because they move the same. They do. He looks just like his older brother, man. And he actually looks bigger, right? But um he just doesn't have the power. He doesn't have the power. And one other thing that I saw, he doesn't have the discipline that his older brother has. He doesn't have the discipline. He has good discipline. He just doesn't, he veers from the game plan. In the loss, I could see his father telling him, no, I want you to do this. And when he came back to the corner, his father was shaking his head like, no, 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 like this. Like, so as you can see, to get him to trust in the process, to believe in it, because some fighters, when they're losing, they're in their head is saying, yo, try something else. When your coach is saying, no, don't try nothing else. This is gonna work. You gotta believe in the process. It's difficult to believe in the process if you're getting your ass whooped and this guy's hitting you with big shots and you decide to try something new. Sometimes you have to trust the process. You have to believe in your coach and in your training to win you the fight. So he doesn't have that mental toughness to stay the course. And I saw that. He doesn't have the power, but make no mistake, he's a very skilled fighter. Naoya Inoue's kid brother. Um, he's good. He's good. Um he's I would say he's 70% better than all the rest of the guys in the 118. I would say he's just not. He would be only in like 30% of power. That's the problem. There's bigger, stronger fighters at 118. Emmanuel Rodriguez, Jason Maloney. They're bigger punchers. They're bigger punchers, and they'll be able to I think withstand his power. But skill wise, bro, they look the same, man. They look the same. Oh no, he keeps up with his brother very well. It's just getting him, like I said, it's getting him to believe in the training and the process. He needs his older brother's mental fortitude to continue the course. If I believe if he would have did that in that fight, and not veer away from the main, maybe the results would have been different. Who knows? I don't know. But um, I think I'm about to cut this video short. I'm gonna have to go and pick my daughter up from school now. You know what I mean? She can stay there a day or so. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, in fact, the bus is here. Yo, fight fans, I'm forced to go. So listen, I'll be back with another one here on another edition of Round One Sports Talk. Please, before you leave, don't forget to give the video a like for me. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Peace.